Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back to Wolf United. This is another post-match reaction. United have just lost by 2-0 to Manchester City in the Carabao Cup semi-final. That is a fourth semi-final defeat under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And we're all feeling shit, but what I want you to do is like the video if you're feeling like absolute shit. Help us reach that 20 like limit. It's not a limit. You can cross that if you want. We did better than that last week, so let's do that. I've got Henry with me. Henry, it's just you and me at the minute. We're waiting on our other guests. I'm sure they'll be here very soon. But initial feelings, tell me how you see it.
Yeah, it's just a bit disappointing, really. I think that's the sort of general consensus amongst fans. I think whenever you lose a semi-final, the reaction's never going to be too positive. I think, it's quite good in a sense that we're doing quite well in the league because the fan base hasn't gone completely toxic tonight, or at least I haven't seen it go completely toxic just yet. I think if we were in a bad position in the league, cups like this would have much more emphasis on them, and I think we'd be a lot more disappointed than we are. But, as you say there, sort of zero finals reached from a possible sort of four with four semi-finals under Solskjaer. That is very, very disappointing. I think it's very hard to hide from that. I thought on the night we were pretty poor. I thought first half we were right, actually. I think we did well to sort of stay in the game. We didn't create too many chances, but I thought we defended quite well. And I thought Fred and McTominay, as they always are, were playing well in a big game. And I thought we did all right. And then the second half, I thought we needed to push on a bit further and create a bit more, and we didn't do that, which was disappointing. So obviously, yeah, not too many positives, I don't think, to take. But I guess we've just got to move on and sort of focus on the league and Watford at the weekend as well in the FA Cup.
Yeah, no, 100%. In terms of what went wrong today, then, before I go into what I thought it was, tell me what you thought was one of the main things that stood out for you in terms of why we lost today.
Well, I thought the front line was probably the most disappointing thing. We all know how sort of electric Rashford, Martial, Fernandes, they can all be when they're working well. And obviously it just didn't really click tonight. I thought Rashford had a pretty poor game, obviously by his standards. Anthony Martial was disappointing once more. I think it's becoming sort of a bit too much consistency, seeing Martial sort of have such little impact on a game, which I thought was a shame. Obviously Greenwood didn't play for long, didn't get much of a chance to make an impact. Donny van de Beek obviously got a few charity minutes, which I thought was a little bit frustrating to see as well, considering that we hadn't created much, before that point as well. But I thought generally that was the sort of problem was the lack of sort of electricity from our front line. I thought the midfield actually played quite well. I thought Pogba did excellently at what he was tasked to do on that sort of left-hand side, and I thought Fred and McTominay again had a good game. Defensively, obviously, there's problems as well. Maguire off the first goal, and then there's arguments to be had about sort of Wan-Bissaka's clearance, I think, as well as sort of Dean Henderson's goalkeeping for the second. So I think the front and back, it sounds like everything really, doesn't it? But I thought the midfield played all right. But no, I thought generally, I think the lack of attacking threat was the biggest problem for me.
Oh, fair play. I will get into the comments in a second. Don't worry, I'm seeing all your comments. There's loads of interesting discussions going on there. But for me, just before I bring in one of our next guests, what went wrong today? I thought tactically it wasn't a lot wrong. I don't think Ole got too wrong tactically. I think what it was for me was in possession, we were terrible. I thought the number of times we had Pogba get on the ball and he'd turn 4 or 5 times and still no one would have moved. I've said this in a previous show that what annoys me, especially as a coach, is when we have a player in possession, no one's reacting to it. They're all stood still, and it just leads to slow play, and I hate it, and I hate poor decision-making, and that was what we had on the ball. And for me, if you look at their man of the match, Ruben Diaz, that is a perfect example of what I've been saying for a few weeks now, even through the bad form, even through the good form for Ole. A poor defense will cost you trophies in the big moments. That kind of a defender, that Ruben Diaz signing, we all made fun of Pep going, well, he's gone and spent another few $100 million on centre-backs. Well, that's what it gets you. It gets you to a cup final. In moments like this, no matter how well you do tactically, no matter how perfectly you nail that tactical approach, a poor defense will let you down in the long term in the big moments. And we got that today. I thought the better defense won. And I think that's what cost us the game. We will bring on our next guest. He is finally here. How you doing, mate? Let us know what you think.
Just listening to what you said there in terms of tactics, I'm just looking at a couple of the highlights right here, right now. I think, tactic-wise, I think that was the problem for me in the end tonight because we knew what was coming. Pep Guardiola's figured all his tactics out. Pep Guardiola figured us out, and we knew what was coming. It should have been exactly like it was against them in the league. We knew we was going to come with a low block. They haven't got an out-and-out striker on the pitch. It was stay solid, defend well, which City did very well. You got to give them credit for that. And you know what? The creativity at the other end in De Bruyne, Sterling, someone will get that chance and take that chance. That's how we're going to play the game tonight. That's what it looked like from Pep Guardiola. He's done it twice against us now, and already his record is miles better than what it was last season. Do you know what I mean? That's 2 clean sheets at Old Trafford now. We haven't looked like laying a finger on him in both games. So I look at it and go, right, okay, Pep Guardiola's learned from playing Manchester United now. That's what good managers do. It's time for Ollie now. He has to go away from this and learn fast, because that's 4 semi-finals in a row now. 4 semi-finals, 2 of them against Man City. And I just listened to what you said then regarding the defence. It's the same team, mate, from last season that's lost all 4 semi-finals. It's the same defence that's lost all 4 semi-finals. There's no new faces in that team tonight, and we've done exactly the same thing. The mentality of this team is going to be massively tested now, because that's 4 in a row, like I said. I know we can say it all we want, and people say, yeah, you can say it's been a bit negative, but that's what they're thinking. I can guarantee you that's what these players are thinking. They have to get over this hurdle of these semi-finals, and they have to forget about it. Semi-finals are a long way off right now. It's done. You have to move on to Watford at weekend, put that to bed, and then it's the biggest week of the season. Because if anything like that turns up in the league and we start dropping off in the league again, the pressure comes straight back on Ole. He has to learn very quick. There were some individual poor performances that let him down tonight. But then again, I can see where everyone's going to come in on Ole, because the fact that he dropped by it was a no-no for me at the start. And then, oh, mate, that substitution of Donny van der Beek, throwing him on the bus at the end, he is going to get so much stick for that. That was horrible. I did not see why Donny van der Beek had to come on with 4 minutes to go like a lamb to the slaughter. I don't even think he touched the ball. And you know what I mean? He's not played any role in any game over Christmas when we need our full squad. You'd have thought that was the time when you're going to see Donny. He's not brought him on. It's an issue going on behind the scenes that he's going to keep haunting him. And well, results are good on the pitch that they have been. He's been put aside and it's all okay. But he has to now put this behind him. And like I said, it can all be forgotten about again, as long as he gets the players' heads right, get into Watford, get that game out of the way, get into the next round of the FA Cup, concentrate on Burnley and Liverpool. Because the league, if we're okay in the league, then everything else will just go by, hardly looked at. But he has to get into the players' heads now. The mentality is going to be severely tested for these players now. It is going to be tested. And it all comes down to the next 3 games. It does. The next 3 games now are massive. Not for just these players, but for Solskjaer. Because like I said at the start of it, it's the same team that failed in all these games last year. It's not just Ole, it's the players. They failed as well. They all failed, every single one of them. Martial didn't turn up in any of them semis. Rashford the same. Bruno was poor tonight, average at best, although he's the only one who hit the target tonight at least.
Yeah.
And you know what? The best player on the pitch tonight was the player who's going to be leaving in the summer for me. So there are issues there at the club right now, but they can all be forgotten about as long as they don't lose it right now. Yeah, we've lost a game, first one in a while. It's done. You can lose to City any day of the week. Let's not overreact. You know what I mean? City are a good team. Yeah, anyone could lose to City. We've seen what they did to Chelsea. We were nowhere near as bad as Chelsea. Defensively, I didn't think we was horrendous. We just made some bad errors in defensive areas that cost us. And against City, that can happen to any team. So it's not about what happened tonight. Anyone can lose this game. We had some bad individual performances. Ollie had been found out tactically against City. It's all about what happens next now. The next 3 games, that's where it all happens for Ollie now and this team. They need to react and they need to mentally be able to handle the pressure which is going to come their way now in the next few days.
No, 100%. I agree with everything you just said. And as you've agreed with me, that defence is the same defence that has lost all of these semi-finals. And believe it or not, you can go on about how much Maguire's cost and how much Lindelof's cost and how injured Eric Bailly will be. But if you actually look at it on paper, we don't actually have that deeper defence. I mean, you've got Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof who start near enough every game. You've got Eric Bailly, who's your next option, who's injured for half a season. You've then got Axel Tuanzebe, who can play the odd game here and there, but he's not ready to be playing every week. And then you've got no one. You've got Phil Jones and Marcus Rojo, who just are not good enough to be playing for United. And then where do you go to then? So in January, we have to be looking at centre-backs. Now, I'm fine with us trying to get a number 6. I'm fine with us getting, Caicedo from Ecuador. I don't mind that. That's a clever signing. Fine, let's do it. But where's the centre-back? We need to go out there and find a centre-back. Now, the question might be, who can you go and get for that price, or for whatever price it could be? But that's a discussion for another time. But comments, let me know. I'm going to get into the comments now because there's loads of them coming in. Let's see what they have to say. Brown Knight, this is a very silly comment. If I wanted to hear praise for City players, I'd listen to TalkSport. Yeah, well, you have to say what's happened in the game. Now, Ruben Diaz, who's the point I think you're talking about, played fantastic, and he's the reason they won that game. Now, if we had a player like Ruben Diaz, that's a problem solved. That's what the point I was trying to make. But you can't just come out and say that. And there's loads of comments about the attack, which I'm going to get into. I'll ask Henry about that in a second, but I want to see more of these comments. Everyone who's in the chat right now, like the video, help us get to that 20-like target, and let's see if we can smash it like we did in the last game. I think we hit about, God knows, I think we got 50 plus that game, so let's see if we can get even more this time. Loads of discussions happening in regards to form. City were on it tonight. Big resurgence from them lately. No, 100%. I think the win at Chelsea really helped them. I think that's given them a bit of wind in their sails, and I think that's what we saw the effect of today. But again, there was a big difference between the way they set up against Chelsea and the way they set up against us. Chelsea, they went for them. Here, they were a little bit more cautious, and I thought we stifled them a little bit. Well, yeah, exactly. They know what to deal with now, and they know that we're a danger when we get in behind. A lot of these comments are talking about the attack and how poorly they performed. I could bring each and every comment up, but that's going to take absolutely ridiculous amount of time. So, Henry, I'm going to ask you, Martial, Rashford, not a great day for them. What do you put that down to?
Oh, I don't know, really. I don't know. It seems to be a little bit of inconsistency just in general across that front line, really. I mean, the right wing spot's one that's sort of been up contention for a long time. We haven't seemed to have had a sort of proper right winger for a very long time at the club. I mean, it could be argued that since sort of maybe Angel Di Maria, we haven't actually had a natural right winger, and we've sort of spent those years sort of shoehorning players in, sort of Alexis Sanchez, Rashford now, as we've sort of seen. There's many a player that's been sort of shoved out on that right hand side across the years, which doesn't help when you haven't got a solid sort of front three to sort of look to, and a front three that you can select every game, like Liverpool have and like City had for a good amount of time. Obviously, I know they've had a problem with their sort of striker sort of number 9 situation, but that's a problem I think for a start, is that we don't actually have a sort of a right winger to look to every game. Obviously we've seen James, Greenwood, Rashford all sort of rotate across those positions. So I think that's a problem for a start. I think Martial, I know a lot of people, it's hard, Martial. It's very hard to sort of decide on what his sort of problems are. People obviously point to his body language and things like that. I think he's largely been inconsistent as well since last season. I know we saw sort of last season how much of a consistent goal scorer he can be, and we haven't seen him hit that form this season, which is disappointing. Rashford, I think, is probably the most consistent of the front three, or the best of the front three on his day as well. But even he has his bad days, as we've sort of seen there tonight as well. I think we definitely missed Edinson Cavani. Obviously his ban was a massive disappointment. I think you sort of missed that. You can see when Cavani plays, he always leads the press. I think when he doesn't, Bruno Fernandes steps up ahead of Martial and has to sort of do his running for him, because we know Martial doesn't like to do much running. But I think we missed Edinson Cavani. We missed that born hungry goal scorer, which is a big shame. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of aspects, a lot of things to put it down to. But I thought the front three was pretty poor tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there was a lack of movement. There was a lack of good decision-making from them. But I think equal blame has to go to the midfield. Poor decision-making from there. And in general, it links to each other, because there was no movement from the strikers, so the midfield had no one to play to. And then the midfield wasn't playing them in when the opportunity arose. And it was just a disjointed performance. A point that I do want to talk about, because we spoke about the defence. One player who didn't play today, who's been in a bit of form, was Eric Bailly. Now, I know this will be a big, big talking point, especially on social media, because it was when the lineup came out. But how important do you think that difference was with him today? Do you think, because we know Bailly is prone to an error, he's an absolute psychopath, that's why I love him. But do you think he would have made that much difference? Because I personally don't think it would have done.
See, this is my problem with it. Being a biased defender, play centre-back myself, so I'm in the defenders club on this one,
was
guys.
it a dodgy knee?
Ankle, mate, ankle. Ankle. It went twice, mate, so I couldn't carry on. But yeah, I played very similar. I was composed, but I was full-blooded. My problem is, and everyone will say it tonight, if you look at the back line in our performance tonight, everyone would say, probably, you'd say Lindelof looked like our best defender. That's not good enough. A player playing well and having his own good stats in a game, which a lot of people on Twitter jump on, is ridiculous in my eyes. It's all about the balance of the four and what works best for the four. Do you know what I mean? And we come out of defence quicker with Eric Bailly. I think Eric Bailly is more composed on the ball. I think Maguire plays better with Bailly. It brings more confidence out of him. It's no coincidence, mate. We touched on it already. This same defence in all four of them semi-finals have conceded 2 or more goals in every single semi-final. And it's Maguire and Lindelof. There's a common denominator. Just, you know what I mean? Eric Bailly's been our best player the last 3 weeks for me. I do think he would have made a difference tonight. Look, at the end of the day, it's all about how the team plays. Would City have still scored 2 goals? Possibly, yeah. Because if you switch off like we have done in defence tonight, and Fernandinho hits that one ball in that one area out of nowhere, which you can't really sort of anticipate coming. It was just one of them moments where it goes in. He never does that normally, but tonight he did. So really, they've had one free kick that was put in that we didn't defend well, and one speculative shot that's gone right in the corner. Other than that, a good save from Henderson. And City didn't do much tonight, but that's what their game plan was. The defence, for me, works as a 4. Yeah, one may play better than the other one, and everyone will say, well, he should be in the team. It's not about that. The manager has to find the balance in the defence and what makes the midfield play well, because that ball comes out of the back quicker. And like you said, then the link from midfield to attack, it starts at the back. It's cliche. It's the oldest saying in the book. You build from the back. Well, our building from the back is slow with Lindelof and Maguire. It's always been slow. With Eric Bailly in there, the ball moves quicker. He does like to move it quicker. He is more direct as a defender. And Harry Maguire can play alongside that. He can play his game. Because the Harry Maguire we bought from Leicester, that we've seen play for Leicester, and we've seen play for Hull, we have not seen once in a United shirt, in my opinion. I've not seen him make one of them runs forward once in a United shirt. I can't remember one of them. And you know what? That's because the whole defence isn't strong enough for him to do that. I think Bailly's the speedy centre-back that covers him more. And you know what? Yeah, he's got a bad injury, but he's not injured right now, so why drop your best player? He's had 5 days rest before this game. Rest him against Watford. That's 7 days rest from this day to Burnley game when we really need him. I don't understand that decision tonight. I thought it wasn't fair on Lindelof either for Molly for throwing him into a game like this tonight. It was just like, there you go. There's City in the semi-final. You know what? We've lost the last 3, but no pressure, son. I'm like, oh, Jesus. You know what I mean? It just did not make any sense tonight for me. The defence works better with Bailly. It did against Everton. The most clean sheets we've had this season, how comfortable at the back we've been, has been with Bailly and Maguire. And then you're looking at the player confidence, then it's like, I've been our best player. This is Eric Bailly's head thinking right now. I've been our best player for the last 3 days. We had that whole sort of embrace and big moment at the end of the Aston Villa game. Smack. I'm dropping you for the biggest game of the season in the derby. And then he's like, he's got to come back from that again now. And straight away I'm going, where is his head at? Is it any wonder that sometimes these players go missing? Because you need consistency as a defender. You need to be able to play game after game and build up a partnership. He built one up with Maguire over the last few weeks, and now it's just gone again because God knows who's going to be playing against Watford. And the next time he plays, hopefully will be against Burnley. But where's his head at again? It feels like he has to start all over again. And it just looks like Ollie's not giving him what he deserves, in my opinion, which is a spot in the big game. Because let's not forget, I think Eric Bailly's played in all of the Carabao Cup rounds so far as well. We've not conceded a goal in any of these games building up. He's missing for the big game in the semi-final, and lo and behold, we start conceding goals. I mean, like I said before, anyone can lose to City, but does he deserve to be dropped? That's my problem, and I just don't think he did. I'm not saying Lindelof played bad, but it's the fact that Lindelof's come straight in in the biggest game of the season for Bayer, who's been our best player. That's where Ollie's going to get the criticism. That's where the stick on social media is probably going to come. I've not looked yet. God knows the reaction I'm going to get from my tweet. I put one out, but I've not even looked yet. I'm getting messages from City fans at the moment. Some I'm going to post up later. You horrible, disgusting people. And that's not me being anywhere near joking either from some of the comments that we've had so far. Keep an eye out for them ones. You wouldn't believe it. But going back to what's going to happen on social media, he's going to have to take it. And like I said in my first statement, he's going to have to learn from this, because tonight we just got sussed out by Pep again. And you know what? Good managers learn. Last season, I thought it was Lampard who sussed Ollie out, kept playing the same way against him, and eventually Lampard sussed it. Pep Guardiola's done the same now. And look at it this season. Last season, it was always great against the good teams. This season, we're really struggling against the top 6 teams. We can't win one game against them, and we're second in the league. Do you know what I mean? That is the big difference. If we can bring some of that back into this season now, somehow, then you're realistically looking at a serious title charge. But now we have to react again. Like I said, where are the players' heads at? Is Bailly mentally strong enough to come straight back into this team? How's that affected Lindelof's confidence? There's a lot of ifs and what's going on. There's a massive knee-jerk reaction, don't get me wrong. Because like I said, it's top team, City. Anyone can lose the game, but I'm just talking about the reaction that people are going to come out with now to Bailly being dropped, like you said to me there. Yeah. I don't think it was the right decision. I think he would have built, even if we'd have lost tonight, he's still building that partnership with Maguire, and he is a defender. And now it's just stumbled a bit. Did he cause more of a problem by dropping Bailly tonight in the long run? That's what I'm looking at, because as a defender, I want to play the games. I want to play every game. It's not like you're a midfielder up and down that pitch. You're a centre-back. Yeah. That is the biggest partnership next to the centre-forwards in your team for me. It starts with you, and a mistake from you usually ends up costing us. So it's what it is. I think Bailly didn't deserve to be dropped. I won't say Lindelof was horrendous, and it really didn't affect the game too much. My issue is with him being dropped in the first place. That's all I've got a problem with.
I think it might have been more. I mean, you could say he was dropped. It might even be a rest. I don't know. I mean, let's face it. He's so injury prone. You don't want to play him too many games. But as you said, the partnership's most important as a centre back. You want to let that grow as much as you can. Comments keep coming in. Keep liking the video. If you're watching it on Facebook, please head over to youtube.com/AllForUnited. Come join us there. That is where the party is. But it's not much of a party, but you can come and have a rant. Unlike the two absolute trolls in the comments right now, there's two very sad human beings. I believe they're human beings. They might be robots, but they're posting some really, really stupid comments. Just ignore them. But get your comments in. If they're sensible, we'll put them on screen. We've got a question here from Fred Woodward. Can you talk about how Maguire wins every header on corners but misses the goal every effing time? Well, that's because a defensive header is a bit different to, trying to score with one. But, I don't know. He should be winning more than he does. But, it's just not. It's just not good, is it? More comments. The fact United haven't had a proper right winger since Ronnie left is basically neglect at this point. Absolute disgrace. And even that, Ronnie didn't even play on the right for long of his career. He ended up on the left and then up front. So, Brown Knight says one positive from this is that it adds pressure on the board to make Jan signings. Yes, but that's assuming our board is footballing oriented. They're looking at us second in the league going, hang on a minute, we're getting Champions League next season. What's the problem? We're not going to look at it saying, you know what, we're going to win the league if we fucking get 3 centre-backs in or whatever. But yeah, that's what it is. In terms of the defence, we've spoken about the defence and how bad that is and how much that can affect us in trying to win trophies. Henry, I want to ask you about the unit in front of them, the midfield, because I don't think they were on it today. And especially a player that has been a key player for us this season and last season as well. Bruno Fernandes, I think he dropped an absolute disaster class today. I want to see what you think about that.
Yeah, I don't want to overreact, but I genuinely do think it was probably one of his worst performances since he's played for us. Now, that sounds like a really reactionary sort of knee-jerk thing to say and quite an extreme statement to make. But, sort of how consistently good he's been since he joined us and how, brilliant his sort of goal contributions have been. I think today was probably, down there one of his sort of worst. Didn't have any real sort of foothold or impact in the game. Unfortunately, no sort of, you could see his desire to drive forward, but there was never that sort of killer pass that he seemed to be able to pick out. I thought sometimes he was shooting from range in positions where I thought maybe he shouldn't have. Perhaps a little bit of frustration seeping into his into his performance, sort of firing it over the bar a couple of times. I thought in general at the midfield, I actually thought Fred had a good performance, and I thought McTominay was okay, but I thought specifically Fred was probably one of our better players on the pitch tonight. I thought him and Pogba were perhaps probably the two best. I think it's fair to say, barring anyone that sort of slipped my thoughts at this point. But I think it was them two that were best. Obviously, McTominay and Fred have got to sort of play together. And I thought when McTominay came off, you could see that stability sort of fell away a little bit, which perhaps, you could say had an impact on City's second goal, which obviously, did come from a set piece. But there you go. But no, I think I understand where you're coming from. I definitely think, Fernandez's lack of impact, shows. If Fernandez doesn't have a particularly good game, then I don't think, everyone around him is going to struggle to do so as well. I thought Fred was all right. I thought McTominay was okay. All in all, I thought it was pretty average. But I thought to be honest, the midfield was probably, apart from Fernandez and obviously his lack of quality tonight, I thought was perhaps maybe the best sort of unit of the team today. But it still wasn't anything spellbinding.
No, I agree. I think the defensive midfielders in terms of Fred and Scott were okay. They did their jobs. It was the advanced players that didn't do it for me. I don't think Pogba was shocking, but I think he had a role and he was playing it, but he couldn't do it to its fullest because he had no movement ahead of him. As I said at the beginning of the show, what annoys me most is when players are passive. If a player did that when I was coaching, then I'd be bollocking them because I absolutely hate it. When a man is on the ball, every player reacts to it. I don't care who you are, where you are on the pitch, you react because when that ball moves, you move as well. I don't like players standing still. It shouldn't be happening, especially at this level of the game. Against a team like Manchester City, where possession is literally a luxury, when they're letting you have the ball, you have to make it count. And we didn't do that today. But yeah, the great thoughts from you there. Comments, get involved. I'm going to try and pull through all these because there's loads of you in the comments. I hope you've all liked the video. We're on 26 likes, so we've smashed the target. So thank you very much for that. Let's see if we can get to 30 likes. In the meantime, let's have a look at what the comments are saying. Could Lindelof have cleared the cross? Maybe, but I do want to touch on the was it the second goal? No, the first goal. The John that was stupid because I read somewhere. I'm not going to be able to find the comment now, but someone said Luke Shaw had a good game. Right, I'd like to hold my hand up and say I'm not the nicest to Luke Shaw, but in recent weeks I've given him his credit. Anyone who's watched the channel will be able to say I've given him credit for good performances. But today, I'm sorry, he was wank. Today was the Luke Shaw that I've been talking about for absolutely months. Right, the first goal, he's literally stood by John Stones, watches him walk by, doesn't say a word to Harry Maguire or was it Scott McTominay who's ahead of him. Doesn't say a word, just lets him walk past, doesn't follow him, and as the cross comes in and he's about to meet it, then he steps. Luke Shaw was at first default for the first goal because you can't blame anyone else, and he did fuck all during the game as well. Defensively, he got caught out plenty of times, and I'm telling you, that is why Pep switched Sterling over to that flank because he knew Wan-Bissaka would have Sterling every day of the week. We've seen it already. His track record is Wan-Bissaka does not allow Sterling to have a good game. So he switches him over to who? Luke Shaw. Why? Because he's not a good fullback. Simple. Any decent winger, any world-class winger will take advantage of Luke Shaw. That's just the truth. But, hey, that's just me. We'll see what else the comments are saying. A lot of stuff on Rashford. A lot of stuff. Oh, my word, there's a birthday here. Worst birthday present ever. Once again, Ole took too long to change it up, and our defence of Maguire and Lindelof is a joke. I want to ask you that, Adam, what you make of the subs, because again, Ollie has shown before that we haven't made subs in the correct times. We've left them too late. My opinion was he didn't give a fuck about this game towards the end. Once we went 1-0 down, it felt to me as if he thought, you know what, screw it, we'll save it for the rest of the team. I don't know. That's what it felt like to me. I want to know what you think.
Yeah, he's sort of acting like an old manager of ours, a legend in Sir Alex Ferguson, before he's even got the right to act that way. Do you know what I mean? But even so, Alex Ferguson wouldn't have let that game just drift out the way it did. You know what I mean? He just sat there after the first goal, no reaction, nothing, no look like there was going to change anything. I thought, oh, here we go. Greenwood on for McTominay. That's a positive switch. Defensive holding defender for a forward. I thought, here we go. But like I said in the first bit, he's going to take all the critique in the world. And I think he's thrown Donny van der Beek under the bus in bringing him on with 4 minutes to go when you're 2-0 down. He didn't even get a touch. He's absolutely destroyed this lad's confidence single-handedly. And he's something that I'm not going to be able to forgive him for. If you think that Scott McTominay and Fred are your way forward, then you're not gonna win anything. You're really not. They are good in certain occasions, in certain games. I think Scott McTominay accepts his role at the football club that, you know what, I'm not going to play every game, but there's going to be certain games when I come in and do a job for the club. Nicky Butt, Phil Neville, these players, Wes Brown, John O'Shea made a career out of it at United. But he's playing first name on the team sheet every week here. Now it's like, Ollie, come on. Seriously, he was at fault for the first goal as well. A needless free kick given away by McTominay. People are forgetting that. And I thought he was absolutely dreadful tonight. He had a good moment where he laid the ball off for Fred in the first half, but past that, he was overrun. And when you play two midfielders like Fred and McTominay against a low block, it's not going to work. It works against Leeds, who are going to continuously attack you, but City are never, ever going to do that. Not with someone like Pep Guardiola, who sees how he can beat Manchester United. And everyone knows how to beat United. You low block them. You low block them and wait for the mistake. Fernandinho tonight was the perfect choice. He came in and ruffled up Martial and Rashford straight away. I could see exactly why he was playing today. And again, I'm looking at it going, right, Ollie, how do you change that? How do you sub? What have you got on the bench that's going to change the way that the game's going today? Well, straight away you're thinking, you're 1-0 down. Do you not sacrifice Scott McTominay at first for Donny van der Beek, giving us a bit more control of the ball? Like you said, the passing from midfield to attack, our final ball was atrocious. Absolutely atrocious tonight. It was ridiculous. And would Donny van der Beek have looked after the ball or maybe seen a different pass than Scott McTominay? Yeah, of course he would. Play him a bit more advanced, play him a bit closer to Bruno and Fernandes, but he's never ever going to play all three of these players together. He doesn't seem it. The one time we did play all three of them together was against Everton, and that was probably our best performance in the first half I've seen in terms of control, attacking and passing. And then I'm looking at it going, right, okay, 70 minutes, there's that substitution. What else have we got? Who else can we bring on? Come on. And then 4 minutes to go. An absolutely pointless substitution, which was just a like for like in the end with Fred, which was not going to change the game. I'm like, why would you do that to a player? Why would you throw Donny on like that? You know he isn't going to be able to do anything. Is it just so he can get to his 20th appearance of the season for stat reasons? I don't know. It baffles me, the substitutions that Ollie made tonight. And in the end, I just think he's got to take what's coming to him. It really is. It is a problem. A lot of fans are picking up on it. A lot of pundits are picking up on it. And it's been all right in recent weeks. But tonight, when he needed to change something, he didn't. And like you said, then it really looked like he wasn't that bothered about it, which is a bit of a worry on its own, really, because he needs that trophy this year. He needs it. And you know what? You can see him just playing the same team against Watford, can't you? As crazy as it is, you know what? I can see him going with Rashford, Bruno, and Maguire against Watford when we don't need to. It is a fair because he's got the biggest squad in the league. He just doesn't know how to use them all the time.
To be fair, I think he's used it all right in recent weeks. It's just in this kind of situation, you thought maybe he would have used it better.
Donny van der Beek was going to ever get a start for United, it would be in the Christmas period.
Yeah.
He's not played. I can't figure it out. I'm baffled how this guy hasn't even got on and given a chance. People will say he's trying to ease him into the season. Man, that's 3 competitions. You know, we're out in Champions League, we're not seeing him. We're out in the Carabao Cup now, we've hardly seen him. You know what I mean? We're nearly halfway through the season. He's hardly made a start. When is he going to play? Because it's like I said, it's a perfect opportunity against Watford. Never mind as a substitute. Are we going to see him though? This is the question now. He could have changed the shape easily tonight with substitutions, but it's scary because I didn't really think of it that way. But when you listen to him after the game, then like you said, then it does look like he wasn't really bothered about the game in the end. It's crazy to say it, but it does look that way. And the substitutions were there tonight. They really were.
He had 5 to make as well.
Exactly, and we made 2. Well, it's 1. He made 1 really because when Donny came on, pointless. So really, you could say he made 1 sub. And he's
I feel like he's almost made that for contractual obligations. Maybe there's something in his contract that he has to get a certain number of minutes.
Said that. Would you believe that Donny van der Beek's had 20 appearances this season? Because he's had 20. When did he make them? I'm thinking, he's not played and he's made 20. So we all know how much managers love stats. But like you said, then it's like he'll come on an interview and say, "Well, he's played 20 games this season in his first season," and be like, "Shut up." I mean, you can't say that, but I can see Ollie saying that. So one of my biggest issues with Ollie is the way he talks. That's what lets him down a lot of the time. But he's got to learn how to deal with that in-game. It's worked okay recently. We've controlled games, but tonight, when they scored that goal, you sort of had that sinking feeling like, maybe this now has been found out a little bit and we're not going to get that fight back that we've had the last few weeks. It just felt like that tonight. And all his body language epitomised that to me.
Yeah, no, we always said, we did say it was going to catch up to us at some point, and maybe today was that day. But again, for me, everyone will criticise the attack and this and that. But for me, if you're going to be winning trophies, a defence is what wins you that. An attack can have an off day, but your defence bails you out. If you don't have a good base, you can't do anything with it. You can't attack because you're too afraid of conceding. But Henry, I want your thoughts on this, because it didn't look like that it looked like we started the game as if, you know what, we'll see if we score the first goal. And if we do, we'll take it and we'll go into the final. But it didn't feel like we were prioritising it. We all say that Ollie needs a trophy. Why didn't it feel like that he went for it today?
No, I think it's a fantastic point. And actually, I was hoping that you sort of asked me a question like that, because I was going to touch on it and sort of ask you guys and anyone else who's watching, with the bye selection, has, even last year with some of the selections in this semi-final, which was also against City, wasn't it? Some of his team selections make you think, he's got an eye elsewhere. And I don't want to question, his desire to win trophies. I know every manager wants to win trophies, but you just think, not choosing Eric Bailly tonight, you think he's one player that you sort of look to and you think if he starts him, he's putting Eric Bailly on the line, because he is a player like that, Eric Bailly, unfortunately. He is made of glass, as it is, unfortunately, a fantastic player when he does play, but you have to be careful with him. You think if he starts him, that's real proof that we're going for it here tonight, and he didn't start him, and that makes you think, are we looking to Watford? Are we looking to Burnley? Probably, Burnley's a lot more likely with our sort of league position rather than, the third round of the FA Cup. But, even last year with some of the selections in the semi-final, I think I'm fairly sure, and I was at Old Trafford for that game, I'm fairly sure Phil Jones started, one of his only sort of starts over the past few years was in a game last year. Brandon Williams started that game as well last year at Old Trafford in the first leg. So it just makes you think, does Ollie really value the League Cup, perhaps, as much as people like Pep Guardiola do? That's a question I'd put to you guys. I'm not,
fucking Pep wakes up in the morning and drinks a can of Carabao. He doesn't drink tea or coffee. Fuck me. Jesus Christ, the guy's obsessed with this tournament. It's as if he's got stakeholders in it. It's pointless. It's weird, Pep's obsession with this tournament. But carry on. Sorry, I've interrupted you. That just bothers me deeply.
No, you're spot on. I think I think what you've just said is spot on. Pep's real desire does show in competitions like this, and you can tell that he takes it very seriously. As a fan of City, I think you love that, wouldn't you? Really? And, I'm not trying to question Solskjaer in that respect, but it's just a bit of a suggestion. But yeah, no, I think you're spot on with as well, the fact that we were sort of waiting to see who scored the first goal, and I thought as soon as we went 1-0 down, I'm not sure there were many United fans out there tonight, in a league game. I think when we go 1-0 down, there's perhaps that spark, you get that feeling, there's still a chance. This season we've seen so many times we've overturned leads, Everton, Southampton, there's so many games that you could sort of rattle off, and you thought tonight as soon as we went 1-0 down, I don't think there were many United fans going, we're going to come back here. It just didn't have that feel to it. It never feels like a semi-final. I think that's one of the big problems under Solskjaer. Whether you put that down to him and the mentality he's instilling, the player mentality, the player quality, his in-game management, whatever you want to put that down to, I think there is a problem in making semi-finals feel like meaningful games, which is what they are. Semi-finals are massive football matches. They're the final one of the final stumbling blocks before you actually go and reach a trophy, which is ultimately, the goal of sport in the end is winning trophies, and it never feels like that, which is a bit of a shame. I don't know what he needs to change to sort of do that. I think tonight was a big test. We had those 3 semi-final losses last season, and you just thought maybe one more year for these players, and we can see maybe that growth. And you think, we've seen so much over the months of Bruno Fernandes and his leadership, and you see all these sort of positive signs. And obviously, our performance in the league's been very, very good. I don't think anyone would have expected us to be, in with a mention. I don't want to say we're in a title race, but in with a mention of sort of up amongst Liverpool.
We are.
I mean, I don't want to try and tease that one, but I mean, it's hard to say we're not, isn't it, with the points tally and where we are in the season. But yeah, I think tonight was a real test in that, how we've been doing in the league. Can we finally win a semi-final? We didn't. So we'll have to see what the rest of this season brings. Whether it's tactical tweaks, whether it's mentality, I'm not too sure. But no, I completely agree with what you said there.
No, fair play. I think, yeah, you're right. And when what you said in terms of it didn't feel like a semi-final, it was the temp. It almost felt as if this first 30 minutes where we had the 3 disallowed goals, it felt like it almost put them off a little bit. Like, whoa, this is getting a bit too open. Let's both just sit off a little bit and protect it. That's what it felt like. And then the tempo just went completely. And I think that's what led to that kind of performance. Yeah. There's quite a few in the comments. Make sure everyone's liking the video. We're almost at the 30 likes. We're 3 likes away. We're going to close off the show very soon, so make sure you get those likes in. Adam, I'm going to get your last couple of thoughts then, and what you think we need to do going forward in terms of Watford. Do you think we just chuck the kids out there and focus on the league now, or do you think there has to be a response and so go strong against Watford, try and get to another final?
Against Watford, I mean, I want to see. I'll probably keep Henderson in goal. I want to see Axel. I want to see Telles. I want to see Menga. I want to see Eric Bailly, but I don't, if that makes sense. I'd rather see Lindelof in there. I want to see Bailly in for Burnley, to be honest. And then midfield, you take your pick. You've got Matic, Mata, James. You've got Greenwood to come in. Van der Beek needs a game. It's the last game for Cavani, luckily, as well. So he'll be back for Burnley and Liverpool, thank God. He just gives us that extra option. So, yeah, to answer that question, I'd rather just see a complete change of 11, if possible, or a complete change of 11 to what we would expect to see against Burnley. I think there's no point in going all out in the FA Cup. I understand we're United and we go for every competition, but if that's how we're going to treat competitions in the semi-final, then you know what? It's the same in the 4th round, the 3rd round, whatever it is. Just treat it what it is, as a game where we can actually get some players who we've not seen actually fighting for their place in this team. Because this is what the squad's for. You know what I mean? This is why we've got the big squad. There's players who are probably busting a gut in training who deserve a chance. Ollie's just got to rest some players out. Rashford, rest him. Bring Martial out. Let's get Greenwood in there. Let's get Van der Beek in there. Do you know what I mean? Let's get some. We've got more than enough to beat Watford. More than enough. And there's players who deserve a shout in that team. So, yeah, to answer that question, I would definitely be looking at changing it up. Definitely resting a few. He's not going to. He's not. I know he's not. He's going to start playing some big names again because he feels like he needs to get a win. And I said at the start, it's all about the reaction now. But you sort of give yourself a bit of room if you bring in some of the reserve players. And then, like you brought up before, if they fail, then you say, well, maybe powers that be above, this squad isn't good enough and we still need to invest if you want your name on that trophy, if that is what you're looking for. So I think it's a free hit against Watford at weekend. I think if we play a strongish team, we'll win, no problem. And that'll be a good sort of reaction, get that loss from tonight out of our hair. But I think it's a good chance to play a few fringe players, maybe some youth players, give players that deserve a run out the chance, because they're not going to get looking at how Ollie plays it, not going to get many other chances and opportunities this season. And you know what? Resting a few players now before this big week ahead against Burnley and Liverpool could be the difference that gets us through that week. So, yeah, I'd definitely change it up, mate.
Yeah, big week ahead. And before that, we have a new competition to play in. Henry, your final thoughts. What do you think we should do over the next 3 games? Because these are big next 3 games.
Oh, I think, the focus is definitely, you'd expect it to, I don't think this is sort of rocket science, really. You'd expect the all the focus to be on the Burnley Liverpool games, and you think against Watford, we just have to put a side out that can win a game, which is hopefully what we'll do. I think the icing on the cake would be if he starts Eric Bailly against Watford. I think there'll be a complete meltdown if he was to do that. And then perhaps not playing against Burnley or Liverpool. But we'll see what happens in that respect. So I think that's one of the big selections to keep an eye on. As well as, we've already mentioned quite extensively Donny van der Beek, which games there he'll feature in and whether or not, you'd expect him to start against Watford. And I think if he doesn't, that would be massively disappointing. But yeah, I don't have too much to say other than that. As you sort of said as well, Dean Henderson, you'd expect him to start Watford and then bring De Gea back in for the league games, but we'll have to see what happens. I think all the focus has got to be on the league for the minute, just as long as we get through against Watford as well, because I think a loss against Watford and being out of another competition would be massively disappointing. So yeah, hopefully we can beat Watford, and hopefully 6 points from Burnley and Liverpool wouldn't be too bad, wouldn't it? 6 points from those and we go 6 clear. That's the ideal situation. Guys in the comments, thank you for joining us. Make sure to like the video because I'm about to wrap this show up with my closing thoughts. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll be as happy as it usually is, but we'll try our best. So like the video, let's get the last couple of likes to get my 30 like target, and we'll wrap the show up then. Final thoughts from me. Disappointing because it is very annoying to lose a 4th semi-final. I really thought that this would be the season we go and change one of those semi-finals into a final, into a trophy win, because Solskjaer needs a trophy to get a little bit more respect in his name. He's earning it slowly week by week with the results in the league, but he needs a trophy to his name to actually go and do it. Now, you might say he didn't treat this semi-final like a semi-final. It didn't feel like it. It didn't feel like we were going for it. Well, he wants a trophy. It doesn't necessarily have to be this trophy. He might be thinking of something else. He might be going for the big fish. You never know. In terms of what we do next, we've got a massive 3 games now. Another tournament that we're starting. We've got to win that one to, kickstart another run. Maybe another semi-finals waiting for us, and maybe we can try and, right some wrongs in that sense. But then we've got the biggest league week of the season so far. It's 2 must-win games, and it could really set us going for another run. But all of this is surrounded by the fact that we do not have a squad that's deep enough in quality. We've got numbers, but quality is not there to sustain a good run. We've seen this time and time again. Last year in 2020, we were 2nd best team in the country on form, but our squad wouldn't tell you that. Our squad quality, you'd think, did we really deserve that? We didn't, because we played the same 11 near enough. We made 2 or 3 changes every week, but in terms of the core, it was the same. But what's been the same from last season to this season? The defence. We added nothing to the defence. We added Alex Telles, a left-back. Brilliant, but that's an attacking signing. We didn't have a centre-back brought in this summer, and I think that's going to be costly in these big moments. I've said it before. I've said it again. Defence wins you titles. A good defence, a good quality, deep defence, where you're not just having 2 starting centre-backs. A bit like Manchester City. If you have the quality in depth, that will pay you off in the big moments. And tonight was a big moment that it let us down in. But hey, it's the Carabao Cup. Even if Ollie had won it, I'm sure there would have been articles saying, oh, well, he's only won a League Cup. It doesn't matter. So we can push this aside. We've got the FA Cup coming up. Then we've got 2 massive league games that if we win, we could be in a very good position. And to that, I say, Pep Guardiola, you can wank into your can of Carabao all you want. You can have fun with that. Have fun being energy drink champions of the world. But all these tricky reds are going after the league. I'll see you all in a bit.